listeners. It's us, Sako and the moon, yet
That's me.
again. Yeah, he's the moon.
I'm the moon.
Or,
It says
I
it on the
guess
thing.
I point at this wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets tricky because I think you're there. Yeah, you're there. There you go.
Yeah. I assume that you have been watching our Friday show where we explain who we are and we talk over a topic in horror. And yeah, now we're doing movie reviews and we're hitting Midsommar.
Right. In the mid to late fall. It checks out perfectly.
In the mid to late fall, yeah.
That's Sako Timmy. She's an artist and an author. She does a bunch of awesome, cool stuff. This is basically her show. She just lets me sit here and be pretty. And then I'm the moon. And my job is to sit here and look pretty. I don't do that job very well, but I can sit pretty damn good. Got that part down. She writes, I write, and we are here to share horror thoughts and knowledge, in this particular case, through reviews. Ta-da!
Ta-da! So what does a screenwriter and a script writer, what do they think of various horror movies that...
Well, you should be watching this by now, guys. Like, you should already know. You should know how this works by now. You're not new. But in case you are, we do an episode. We talk about all sorts of things, horror craft. We do an episode on Fridays and find an associated movie that we have reviewed come Tuesday. And the last category was mental health and horror.
Great episode.
It was a good episode, and you wouldn't really believe how much help horror can be, because it gives space to really address things that we might be dealing with in our own real lives. You know, the only difference is in real life, we can't hit pause or turn anything off. We can't close the book in real life, but we can in books and in movies. And I think it's important for those who deal with mental health struggles to, one, use those mediums like writing, like filmmaking, comics, even through photography, to utilize these creative mediums to deal, to cope, to overcome. And it's also important not only as a medium to get the stuff out, but to see it play out in a fictional world where we can see what we're looking forward to when we're dealing with struggles ourselves, or maybe exploring worst case scenario that's so extreme that allows us to take a step back and recognize, okay, it feels like a bad thing that I'm dealing with, but it's not that. And at least it's not that. And maybe it gives you an opportunity to take stock in what is actual. Because I think maybe Sako can agree with me that a lot of times, and I'm primarily speaking for myself, but I'm sure Sako can agree, that a lot of it is how we perceive the world around us, not so much how the world around us genuinely is. And I think
reality is subjective.
It is. Once you can land on that, it makes it easier. It's not a fix or a cure-all, but it definitely helps when you're able to put your world in proper perspective, even if it means having a friend or co-host that allows us to kind of bounce things off each other and talk and get those things out. And all of this does serve a purpose. The movie that we are reviewing today is Ari Aster's Midsommar, a movie that I absolutely love to death. And those are the struggles of our main character, our protagonist in particular, but our group of friends. And it can be a tough watch. It can definitely be a tough watch. What are your thoughts, Sako?
It was definitely a tough watch for me. I found it very triggering, and I had to nope out a little after the halfway mark.
Yeah,
So,
that was a pretty hard. Like the midpoint of this movie is a tough one. You
and it
see that
just
with
goes downhill from
it
there.
doesn't
Like,
get any better.
yeah,
And that's kind of by design as you're following our main character, Danny. She is that's kind of like the point where things really start to shift is at this midpoint. We'll get to it in a little while. But knowing that you weren't able to finish it, it kind of serves the purpose of us having that episode on Friday. And it kind of goes along with everything we've been saying so far today, is that was an option, and things you may have suffered through and things that I've suffered through, hitting pause and turning the thing off and walking away from it, having a palate cleanser, that's not an option in real life. But one of the benefits and the beauties of horror is that we can stop the madness.
nope out.
We can stop the madness in our experience. I'm glad you're okay. You're okay.
I am okay.
But
it took a couple hours, like I had to, over the garden wall, revisit for a palate cleanser, like.
And it's good to have a palate cleanser when you're watching horror. You don't want too much horror in your life. Like, it's okay to horror fans. Listen, I know it's cool to be edgy and be like, "Oh, watch nothing but blood and guts and horror." It's okay. It really is okay to watch a comedy movie every once in a while. Go visit that childhood cartoon. I love Rockadoodle. And
Rockadoodle is great.
Rockadoodle is a great little movie. It's okay to watch Rockadoodle. It's okay to watch a romance if you're into that. It's okay to watch a comedy. Sometimes we have to balance because sometimes horror can get heavy. And this movie does get heavy.
Yeah.
It does get heavy. So fair warning, you might want to read some reviews on the movie first, or just stay here with us because that's literally what you're watching right now.
Just know that there's going to be spoilers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're going to spoil the shit out of this. But it's worth a watch, provided you can watch it. And you're not going to get any hate out of me or Sako if you can't breeze through a movie like this. And if anyone gives you any static from that, send them my way. I'll fuck them up. It's fine. You ready to get into this?
I am ready to get into this.
So we have a 4-star system, 4-star, and we have 4 categories that we base each star on. Those categories are theme, production, writing, and characterization. In each category, we have our little prompts that guide us through the process and helps us determine whether or not this movie deserves the star.
Indeed.
How'd I do? Normally that's Sako's bit. I'm kind of taking charge of this episode.
Yeah. I'm good. Yeah. Yeah, so let's see. I could not find a message. Just the differences in cultures.
I found the message very easy. Oh yeah. The message is obvious. The message is to when you're suffering, you don't need to suffer alone. And you shouldn't be forced to suffer alone. That is what Danny is forced to do throughout this entire movie. She's going through all these struggles and she is not supported in the least at all. And in the end of this movie, what brings forth the smile on Danny's face is a sense of belonging. It shows the power of community, the power of family, the power of friendship. And that is ultimately what she needed. You can see through over time through the course of the movie that it was kind of manufactured, but at the same time, it wasn't. Like things were put into motion, but things happened the way they happened genuinely, particularly with the maypole. And it played out that way. You know, in the end, she got what she needed. She needed community, and she got it. She needed people to love and support her, and she got it. She
Mhm.
needed to get rid of the people who were toxic to her and just holding her back, and she got it. These people literally provided her with everything she needed, and it highlights kind of what you and I were talking about um, earlier in this, and shortly before we started. Like that was what she needed. She needed community. She needed people to support her, to understand her, to listen, to sympathize. One of the things that we see these characters do when people are suffering, when you're crying, they cry with you, literally. When you're wailing in pain, they wail with you. They do not allow you to go through those big emotions alone. When you succeed, they cheer with you. And isn't that what we want from our core group of friends?
For sure.
Our we'll call it our chosen family. We want people to cry with us when we're sad, to wail with us when we're in pain, to cheer with us when we have something to celebrate. That's the message I got from it.
Right on.
The tone is dark,
It's super dark,
even though
cold
the sun
and
never.
visceral violence, and um, it. Despite how sunny it is, despite everyone wearing white, like, and
I'm gonna
wearing
get into that.
flowers,
I'm gonna get into
and
all of that with art direction.
yeah,
But no, the tone gets very, very dark, and I think that that's part of it. Again, more in details when we get the art direction or with the production category, but there's a juxtaposition between the dark tones and the super bright, always daylight, bright white clothes, sunny disposition. We create this what is visually appealing.
we had an episode in season 1 where we recommended turning horror on its head, and it's not always in the shadows. Like,
Yes.
it's in that abrasive, uh what's the word I'm looking for? The oppressive sun,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Because
the
it's in
bleach
Sweden in the summer.
colors,
So there's like there's one thing that they highlight earlier on in the movie is that it's 9 p.m. and it looks like it's fucking noon because
Yeah,
it's the midnight sun. There are
it's
parts of the world.
Midsommar, yeah.
There's part of the world where because of the tilt of the earth, now we're getting all sciencey. Because of the tilt of the earth, the sun, regardless of when it spins, it's right there. It's right there. It might get dim for like an hour or two, maybe 3 at most, but it's bright.
It's bright.
It's bright
And
all the
some
time,
people stay up the whole time.
which is wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so yeah, that's kind of my reflection on the tone and the mood. You have to get past the visual and see what's happening, and I think that's also veiled in the expression of just the cultural differences between the Western world. I guess they qualify as Western as well, but the more American level society kind of societal standards versus this uh, Norris
Swedish,
Swedish
yeah.
culture. It's I love this movie so much. I love this movie so much.
I actually have a bit of trivia regarding that.
I'm all ears. Let's go.
When the film was released in Sweden, rather than eliciting fear in the audience, many people laughed. Many Swedish critics praised the film as an excellent black comedy. Talk about cultural differences.
And that is such a beautiful thing because understand, one, that says that Ari Aster did his job. he was able to represent that culture accurately enough to where instead of being insulted by it, the Swedish they embraced it and they found the cultural differences to be funny. So kudos there. The representation is always so important. It doesn't always have to be, a racial thing or a gender thing. It can just be a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to understand that like any representation is important to get right. And that shows that they did. Secondly, it shows that perspective matters. If you've never gone through any of the struggles that our main character Danny goes through, you're going to watch this movie. You may end up more like Christian. Don't do that. Don't be Christian in this movie.
Don't be Christian. Yeah.
Not a Christian. The character named Christian. It's Danny's boyfriend. We'll get into that later. Just sit down, guys. But he's a dick. There's no other way. You might even relate to him or to Mark or to Josh. That's the rest of our friend group. But if you've gone through anything close to what Danny's gone through, you immediately latch on to Danny, and you start to see this movie through her eyes, and it's very well done in that perspective. I can feel my daughter running past my office.
I have to say that I almost question as to whether her reaction was genuine or was she overreacting.
To which part? There's a lot of things for her to react to in this movie.
Let's say when the elders at the midpoint, when the elders end their cycle,
the big ceremony, the big drop off,
the big drop off, and they spend a good 5 to 10 minutes on her reaction, and
she dissociates.
Yes and no.
Okay, I'm listening.
Like she
shuts off.
She bottles up her tears, and she's having nightmares about everybody leaving. And
yeah, but I think that what we're experiencing with Danny is that she is experiencing trauma after trauma after trauma. She has layers of trauma that are all happening, I think, within the span of 6 months. I think it's 6 months from the opening tragedy to the trip. And she's dealing with trauma after trauma after trauma and is not dealing with any of it appropriately. And not only that, she's not getting any true support. It feels like while she may have other friends, none of them appear in the movie. Like, you don't actually see her friends. She has one friend she talks to in the beginning of the movie, in the opening, and you never see that friend. That friend never comes to the house. That friend is never around. And the only person she seems to have is her boyfriend, Christian, who is everything but supportive. So I think what we get to when we get to that ceremony, the at stupa, I think that's what that was called.
I believe so.
When we get to that ceremony, that's just it. I think that caps everything that she can handle, and I think that's just game over emotionally. Like, everything else is just,
and she
waiting for it to spill out.
Gets roped in. She, like the belonging and the the welcoming of the insular villagers,
Yeah,
for lack of a, you know.
the rest of the Holga, the Harga, the rest of the
Mhm.
Harga. But no, I think that's ultimately what it. Because again, she is lacking. She is deficient in support, and what starts to happen is she starts to, one, realize how much support she's not getting, and two, she recognizes that there are people who are listening to her, who are relating to her, who are embracing her for who she is. And I think that is I think that's the important part, that is drawing her closer and closer to that community, which again highlights the overall theme that you know that I picked up on,
Mhm.
uh, is that that's what you need. And when you start seeing somebody providing what you need, you latch onto that just as well, which is something we didn't cover into this particular movie, which is, when you've gone through something bad and someone tries to manipulate and love bomb you or whatever like that. Like we're not digging too deep into that because that's not in this movie, but it works the same way. You know, if you're hungry and you've been starving, but someone's willing to feed you, you're going to hang out with that person who's willing to feed you because you need food. Not because you want to take
Mhm.
advantage of anybody or you think that they're taking advantage of you, but you're hungry and you need food. And she needs support, she needs love, and she needs a community. And she got that.
And she got that. Yeah. But it's how far into this do I want to go? Like, I wonder, no, no, I'm gonna back out of that. I'm
Okay.
gonna back out of that.
I will say that there's a lot that happens in Danny's journey after your cutoff point.
Yeah.
So with that in consideration, um, it's not an instant grab. There's a lot of work that has to happen, um, and a lot of it is Pele, who clearly has a thing for her, starts
Mhm.
to just point out obvious things, and then she gets to observe Christian's lack of support firsthand. He gets to witness how dismissive he is when it comes to his friends. Um, she gets to witness how selfish he is, and when you've gotten that attachment to someone like she has with Christian, and it becomes obvious that this person does not have your best interest at heart, it becomes easier to detach from Christian. And since the support system is present, she can immediately attach to the community.
Which is harrowing in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
When she gets accepted into what is ostensibly a cult.
That
You know,
is subjective.
it is
And
subjective.
that is subjective because at the same thing, it's the thin line between cult and culture.
It is.
Like we were talking about a moment ago, like perspective is important.
Like
From
the
our
Swedes think it's a comedy,
right,
like,
exactly. In the same way that the people who were there, the Harga, they're not going like, that's not a cult. That's just
oh,
their that's
well,
that's
you
just their
know,
way.
right.
It's just their way. Now, a cult can easily be the same way.
Yeah.
Sometimes the only difference between a culture and a cult is the costume you wear or the wolf inside the sheep's clothing,
or something.
It's a very thin line. It's a very thin line. It's not as predatory as I think a cult, broadly speaking, is. I think generally speaking, cults are predatory. They want something. The leader of the cult wants money, wants authority, wants power, needs to build an army or militia of some sort. I think when it comes to culture, I think it boils down to the intention. And I don't immediately think that the intention of the community was malicious.
I don't think cults are all malicious.
That's fair. And I wouldn't. Okay. Again, you see how thin the line can be. We could accurately dispute this all day. We may actually have to do an episode on cults then.
I would have to nope out of that one.
Fair. I'll just have to read my book then. I have a book on cults. I love watching cults. I love psychology and how the mind works. We're going a little bit off topic more than we normally do, but I think overall, bringing it back to the movie and the star point, I think this theme is clear of what it is, but there's so much space to explore the depths of it. Well, there you go.
I would have to research what the certain criteria are,
and I think that's necessary more so for
and
legalities.
I try to kind of like use my writing to kind of process what I experienced, and that's a big deal in the sequel that I'm writing right now.
Borrow Time?
No, Delphian.
No, you already wrote Borrow Time.
The sequel to Flambeau, yeah.
See, she's got so much stuff that she works on. I can't keep track of all of it.
Can't keep track of all of it.
I can't keep track of all of it. So how do you feel about starring this
the theme? I might need convincing.
Okay. Like I said, the overall theme I picked out from this movie has to do with the exploration of Danny. It has less to do with the community as it does with Danny, and highlighting that through her grief, through her guilt, through her depression, through her anxiety, and all the other things that she was dealing with, there was a way out. Completely unconventional, which is what horror does, but there was a way out. There was a recovery, in a sense, for her once she found that supportive community that she actually lacked.
She was cut off.
That's no, she wasn't cut off from her loved ones. Not by the cult. She had 3 members of her family and her boyfriend. Her sister decided to go be with God and took her parents with her. The cult didn't do that. Her sister did.
Yes.
And then as far as the boyfriend was concerned, he was checked out anyway. And when it came down to the end, this is where the spoiler comes, when she chooses whether to spare the boyfriend or not, she chooses not to spare the boyfriend. The cult never split them up, never made them sleep separately, never kept them apart. He was a dick. And if anything, he created the ultimate emotional separation between the two of them. The cult never did. The community never did.
Yes. That's true.
So did the organization cut her off from her family?
No.
And her going to the community ultimately wasn't Pele, which was before they go to Sweden. Pele is the connection. Her boyfriend invited her to go. It wasn't Pele. It was her boyfriend that invited her to go. So Pele had no part in Danny even being a part of this. It was all Christian.
Thank you, Nicole.
But yeah, I think the theme has more to do with overcoming those struggles than it did anything else.
I would just as soon post it in self-promo if I do something silly like put a link to the podcast in it.
Say what?
Hold on just a second. And then she can reply to the...
Are we getting a guest?
We are not.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
Should it get a star? Then I guess it should.
In my opinion, yes. And I think that was well explored.
1 star. As far as the production, every frame is a work of art.
And not to mention the actual works of art that are presented in this movie.
The deaths were super visceral.
They were.
And the camera work and transitions were amazing.
In the first 20 minutes. There is something they do with the upside down camera as they're going into Sweden, which to me was a visual symbolization of how upside down the community was going to be from the perspective of our characters going in.
Mm-hmm.
Like their whole world was going to be literally flipped upside down, and that's what the camera does as they're going in to Harksingland. I can't remember what the actual place was called, but once they get there for the community, everything in their life gets turned upside down. The camera work reflects that. The contrast in colors from the dark opening where something bad is clearly happening. Like I said, the sister who's suffering through bipolar makes the choice to go be with God. We're on YouTube still. So to go be with God and decides that her parents need to go with her. So by use of carbon monoxide, takes a trip, and that just devastates Danny. And what we see is Danny going through the panic of, hey, I can't get a hold of my sister. She sent me a really weird email. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. And she's unsure until she gets the back call. And everything in these scenes are dark. The lights are off. It's nighttime. Everything is dim. And even when we cut to where Christian and his friends are, it's dark. It's dim. It's at night. You know, nothing is very bright. Once we get into everything else, everything stays super bright. So, and things just get progressively brighter as Danny goes through her adventure in this movie. So I love that work with lighting and the cinematography. There is, if you want to know how this movie is going to play out, here's a trick. There's an opening tapestry, right? It's like an opening picture. It's like 4 seasons in a frame. Just pause and really study those frames. That's the literal movie. The whole thing is in that one, in the opener, it's that one tapestry, that 4-framed seasonal opening. It's right there. It's the whole movie. And there's a later tapestry that involves like a love spell.
Yes.
And it's also played out on a tapestry.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was built there, actually on set, like built up. The artwork, all the stuff was hand done.
It was actually filmed in Hungary.
And I haven't even
Sweden.
Right. But you can only do New York so many times from somewhere. Most New York movies are not done in New York.
True.
You can't be surprised. But no, it was so well done. It's such a beautiful movie. Even if you put everything on mute and just look at the movie, it's gorgeous. It's aesthetically pleasing.
It is. So a star for production, definitely.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing. Like it's so aesthetically pleasing when you're looking at art or how the camera moves, and you don't need to spend a lot of time talking about it. Like it is pretty obvious. It's just kind of, it's like if you open the page and just saw that cover, like that first bit, the first 20 minutes of the movie, you're just like, okay, yeah, we see what we're in for. Okay, never mind. Don't even ask me any more questions.
We need all the backstory. Okay. Yeah.
But it gives it to you up front. Everything's laid out so clean and clear. There's even, I want to just note real quick that there is a scene where it's kind of after Christian has comforted Danny. She's kind of laying in bed, not actually asleep, but like she was trying to go to sleep but couldn't sleep. And she's sitting in her bed, and there's a big piece of art. It's a little girl in a white dress with a giant bear. And she's kind of like controlling the giant bear. And as that plays into the final scene of the movie, it's a really good juxtaposition. Just the way it plays out, because she does end up being in control of the big bear at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I do love that.
Okay,
not really a juxtaposition, but you know what I mean.
I think I follow. The writing. Let's start with the dialogue. The cultural differences were stark.
Mm-hmm.
But there was so much subtext in the dialogue, especially in the first half of the movie.
Yes.
They don't outright say they're on the rocks, but you can tell they're on the rocks.
They can. You can, because it's Danny is dealing with her own issues from the jump. Even before it is revealed what happened to her family, you can see the anxiety in Danny. And through conversations that we have, through the dialogue that Christian has with his friends, particularly with Mark, who's like his jester type of friend, like the clown of the group. You can see that Danny has attachment issues. So these are all things that she's suffering with before she loses her family tragically, you know. And all of these things they're all conveyed in a way that doesn't take a lot of time to spell it out, but it's clear. And a lot of this has to do with the acting, which we'll get into with the characterization, but the way certain things are said, the expression, the way certain things aren't said. And a lot is done in the manipulative nature of Christian, the boyfriend, in what he says, what he doesn't say. There's a part where they go to a party, and he's talking about how he's going to go to Sweden, And Danny's confused. She's like, I thought you were talking about going to Sweden. You didn't tell me you were actually going. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, no, you're not really sorry. You know, you didn't actually just apologize. You just said you're sorry. Like, you didn't actually apologize for anything. And you can tell that if you just listen to how he said it, it's all clear. And it's these little manipulative things that he does to show that he's basically checked out. But she's got such attachment issues that she folds the moment that he's able to, oh, I guess I'll just go then. It's like, no, don't go. No. So anyone who's dealt with a manipulative person in a relationship, as a friend, in family, they say the right things to get their way. That's Christian. And if you know, he attached himself to someone who had anxiety issues, who needed someone and didn't otherwise have reliable people. So all that is conveyed both in the acting and primarily in the dialogue. How people
well written.
Oh, it's incredibly written.
We'll get into that in the writing, but like,
yeah,
really...
I read the script, which is side note, if you guys get the chance to watch the fully extended director's cut, watch that. I watched it on HBO Max despite having the DVD, and if you read the script, there are so many other things that are left out. There are so many other things that are left out of the movie.
They kind of cut for time, but
they did, because the movie's long as it is. It's like what, hour and a half, hour 45, 2 hours maybe.
2 hours, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it's a long movie as is, but I guess I can touch on it because we're going to talk about pacing. The things that happen in the first 20 minutes happen very, very fast. Actually, one of these transitions that we didn't cover, there was a lot of camera work that we didn't really address in the last thing. We really didn't have to. But one thing they do is there's a lot of camera work with reflections.
Yes.
There's a lot of reflections. And to do that without getting the camera in it, it's very creative. Cinematographers, take note. There's more than one way of doing a conversation. Not everyone has to be on screen, sitting in front of each other or next to each other. They do this one transition where they come inside and Danny comes into the door next to a mirror. Christian's already come in and sat on the couch opposite the mirror. So where the camera is, it shows the mirror and Danny. And Danny's looking at Christian and Christian's looking at Danny, but you don't see Christian in person. You see Danny through the mirror.
Right.
So it looks like they're side by side having this conversation, very similar to me and Sako right now, but they're actually across the room and you can see that distance because of the mirror. It's a beautifully done shot. And probably one of my favorite camera shots in movies, like in cinema, like all movies. Like that's probably one of my
so well done. Yeah.
But all that goes to the point I'm making about pacing. Once you get to the midpoint about the midpoint of this movie, everything slows down incredibly. And I think a lot of that shows I
felt like it was almost a slow start to the movie.
You think so?
I do.
I think
it was kind of a slow burn leading up to the halfway point, the midpoint, and then it kind of
it slows down from the beginning in my perspective, and it might be my familiarity with the movie because I've seen it so many times before today. Because we're going from, mind you, that opening 20-25 minutes is 6 months worth of time, and that other transition I was kind of referring to a moment ago is she goes into a bathroom at one point and ends up in the bathroom on the plane. So months pass in just
brilliant transition.
Which it's aesthetically pleasing. It does the job of shifting a forward motion of time, and I mean it's It's
The
so
art
creative.
direction and the cinematography were
That's
just
why I got a star so quickly. I mean, some of these things, they're just hard to, you can't argue with them. But in the writing, the pacing, I found like that first part is stretching out 6 months, it's zooming 6 months in a short period. And then the rest is a stretched out 9 days.
yeah.
The midpoint of a 2 hour movie is an hour long. So the midpoint, by the midpoint of the movie, we're already in Sweden.
Mhm.
We're in Sweden after 25 minutes. So from the
Mhm.
25-minute mark to the 2 hour mark, it's 9 days
Yeah.
versus that 20 minutes, which is 6 months.
Right.
Right. So maybe that's the perspective that I have. And we're drawing all this out so that we can see all the pageantry play out, all the lore that's alluded to in these tapestries plays out. We get to see everyone kind of get picked off without them actually seeing them getting picked off. I love that part too, where they people just kind of disappear and they find a way to kind of write them all off. It's great.
Yeah. I thought the writing was expert
And,
level.
and if
Like,
you're, and I realized that one of the movies other movies we had talked about possibly reviewing was Hereditary, also an Ari Aster movie. Same guy.
same
And
guy. Ah.
yeah, so if you look at Midsommar or Hereditary,
You can assume that the writing is like,
I can't even talk. Like, I'm a huge fan. He's a writer director I'm a fan of. I'm a huge fan.
Somehow he manages to do it alone, which is amazing. Like,
yeah. And I want to talk about this real quick. Because we keep referencing this midpoint where you cut off, and we keep referencing it. So let me just kind of get people up to date to where that midpoint is and
okay.
and why not only did Sako break off at that point, while a lot of other people might want to break off at this point. And it's also important to note that it's the same point where Danny kind of breaks off. Two of our other characters, Simon and Connie, break off at this point.
Yes, they do.
They all these people in question are like, ooh, this just happened. I'm out. And that does start to spiral into the story of the rest of the movie. So one of the things that they discuss in this culture is that they live their life in 18-year increments, essentially, like seasons. Up until their whatever 18 times 4 is, because I'm not doing it in my head. Was that 76? 72. I knew 6 didn't seem right. 72. And when they get to 72, they just decide to go. The difference being, instead of us rotting away in nursing homes until we die at 95, if we're ever so lucky, they make the choice to just give up their lives at 72. Part of the ceremony, and it's a thing. They welcome it. It's part of their culture. They do it when no one else is around. It's just what they do, and part of this involves ritualistic suicide. Fuck them. We're not monetized. Ritualistic suicide, and they basically jump off a cliff. No, they literally jump off a cliff.
They literally jump off a cliff, and they show the damage.
They show the whole fall.
They show the fall. They show
the second guy falls and doesn't die, and they have to take him out of his misery. Now, that's a lot, and it's designed to be a lot. And primarily Danny, who has already been dealing with, mind you, she's still recovering and dealing with the suicide of her sister and the subsequent murder of her parents. And so having to witness such a loss right in front of her, she wasn't ready. She wasn't able to, she wasn't that was a mental break. And The other two, Simon and Connie, who were brought to this community by Pele's brother, they also weren't ready. Only one person there actually knew what was happening. It was Josh, who had been studying this culture for a while for his thesis, his doctorate thesis. And only he knew what to expect.
Yeah.
And Mark wasn't there. And while Christian witnessed it and was shocked, you could just tell how dead and detached and desensitized Christian already is. And there's a lot that was telling in that particular scene. Oh, aside from the obvious like tragedy right in front of the shock of everything, it was the difference between the impact of the shock on Danny versus the impact of that shocking moment on Christian. And how Christian was just like, "Whew, that was something. That wasn't." That's psychopath culture right there. Like that's the mind of a psychopath. And I think that really starts to highlight, if it wasn't already, exactly how detached and uninvolved Christian really was, both to his girlfriend and his friends, because he screws them all over at some point.
Yes, he does.
Without being the bad guy, which is crazy. Because this movie, while has essentially an antagonist, there really isn't a bad guy.
Christian is the closest thing, and
he's closest thing to a bad guy.
Not really an antagonist.
No, he's part of the protagonist group. He's just an asshole. And that's one of the best parts about it, is because the closest thing to the bad guys are just doing their own thing. And what's fucked up is they're doing their own thing at home. So they're on home court. It's not like they came to Seattle, Washington, and there's like, hey, you're 72 years old, go fall off a cliff. They didn't do that. No, you came to them. All these people came to them for their ceremony. They didn't look it up. They didn't study it. Obviously, the information was out there. Josh had it. Josh knew what this stuff was. The information was there. No one else looked it up. That's kind of on them. There's an argument to say it's kind of on them.
Yeah.
So I loved it. And all of that is written into the story
masterfully. Yeah.
And again, there's so much stuff that's not in the movie, in the regular theatrical cut. Like, if you get your hand on the script, you've got to read it. Like, just read it. Matter of fact, I'll make this suggestion for you. If you ever get the opportunity, there are many websites where you can download movie scripts genuinely. And I would suggest finding the script to your favorite movie and read it while watching it. Read the script while watching the movie. Follow along. Do a follow along. And you will start to see what production does, what editing does, what gets cut for time, maybe why. And if this little portion of the movie doesn't get in, if this scene doesn't get in, how do they make up for that later? Some of the best examples is Back to the Future. And you wonder why George McFly didn't come to school that day. And Marty was like, hey, you didn't come to school today. And his answer is, I overslept. And then you move on. The scene that got cut was Darth Vader, which is Marty in his radiation suit, chloroformed him. And he too much. And the guy didn't wake up until after school had already started. So he did oversleep. Because, the scene prior is Darth Vader telling him what he had to do to save the future, whatever it was. In this movie, it's what happens to Simon and Connie. We hear Connie scream. We don't know it's Connie screaming. But there's hints to this in deleted scenes. So it's present in the script. And if you find a director's cut, you can probably see the scene or something like that, or catch the deleted scene. But read a script and watch along with the movie. It's a fantastic little fun thing to do for a movie you love.
So definitely a star for the writing.
Absolutely.
And now the characterization. As far as the casting, I thought the casting was excellent.
These people did a fantastic job. I became a fan of Florence Pugh from this movie, and I haven't seen her do a bad movie yet.
That's awesome.
And Christian's a dick. Fuck Christian. And the fact that I can hate Christian so much shows how good of a job he did.
Yeah,
shows how good of a job he did in playing that character.
Yeah.
I honestly I loved the ensemble cast, which is basically just everyone else who lived there. I love the ensemble cast, and I know that normally an ensemble cast is the rest of the folks who are singing, but you know what I mean. But the others, because everyone just kind of played their role in
the extras were just wow.
such the right way to really come across like, yeah, these people really just fuck with each other. Like they're just cool. Like it's just a community thing. Pele played the Mr. Steal Your Girl character really well. No other way of calling it. He was just trying, like that one. You know, you got that one friend that's just too nice to your girlfriend. It's Pele. It's the one friend that your other friends are like, hey man, you better straighten up because you know, little homie is pretty close to your girl. Like you might want to just go buy some flowers or something. Do something nice because there may only be one name.
Which of course he didn't.
And of course, Pele was playing both sides of this because there's one part because Christian forgot her birthday. And honestly, I can kind of give him a pass with the whole sunlight day transition thing. But even Pele was just like, hey, man, hey, you forgot your girl's birthday. So what the fuck? Yeah, like you made it. Matter of fact, I went ahead and got you a piece of cake for her so you can give it. I got you. I got you. Don't worry, I got you. So he plays cool on both sides. Like Pele's pimp game is way strong. And then he literally eliminates the competition. It's crazy. It's crazy work.
It's craziness. Yeah. It's crazy work. Consistency and evolution. Well, I mean, she eventually joins the village and finds the support that she needs. So she starts the movie. Who she is at the beginning of the movie and who she is at the end of the movie are vastly different.
Yes, there is a huge change in her arc. As we mentioned before, she's alone in a room full of people. You know, when she finds out her mom is, for example, when she finds out what happened to her family, she is literally alone. And by the end, she is surrounded by people who love her and who are embracing her and cheering on her victories. And she overcomes that neediness that she had. She was able to start seeing through the veil that Christian had placed over her eyes. And she overcomes all of it. Oh, there goes my printer again. I think my printer knows when I'm recording. And just like, no, hey, I'm a printer. Pay attention to me. It's crazy. Because your guys can't hear it, so it's fine. I'm just distracted by my printer. But no, her arc is incredible. And I love that we follow Danny so close as far as point of view is concerned. We follow Danny so close. But there are other people and they all have their own motivations and movements. And we still see them and how those extra arcs do still circle back to Danny. Danny is clearly the center of our attention and our focus, and we never lose track of Danny, despite who else may be being discussed or focused on in any particular moment.
Yeah. I think it says more about me and the way that I dissociate, which is vastly different than the way she reacted to what was happening to her.
Yeah.
So I don't
Well, I think that kind of
I
goes
don't
to
know that I believe it. I don't know that I believe it.
well, it's one of those things that we talked about on Friday's episode, which everyone should go back and watch. Is
Everyone
that mental health struggles, even the same diagnosis is not a monolith. Not everyone's going to have the same diagnosis and respond exactly the same. It's going to manifest differently. For Danny, I think she couldn't handle all of that pain. So she went like just blank and just, I think, literally pulled the plug on feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because she was barely holding on, and when she eventually goes back to the sleeping house, she's packing her stuff. She's like, I really cannot right now. And she's not bawling out and crying in that particular moment. She does have breakdown moments, but and I think a lot of that has to do with the drugs they're taking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like psychotropic flower teas that they're taking throughout the course of this whole thing. And a lot of that, when she has those breakdowns after she's done mushrooms or after she's drank the tea, when she's broken down the walls down a little bit, and she can kind of be free to express. But again, I think a lot of that has to do with her fear of losing what she's got.
Yeah.
She verbalizes the fear of losing Christian, of pushing him away with all of her stuff. And so I think a lot of it has to do with her being used to clamming up and not being able to express her thoughts and feelings in fear of losing those around her, pushing them away by being too much. And that's how I interpret a lot of that. So with that being sort of the foundation of her trauma, which again is being layered and layered and layered throughout the course of this movie, I think that her response to just pull the plug and just like, no, feelings do not exist today. And I think that's how she in this particular movie disassociates from the level of pain that is surrounding her, the degree of pain that's around her. She's refusing to acknowledge that she's feeling. It's like the room is filling with water and she is convincing herself that she's dry.
Yeah.
Despite being nearly underwater, she is convincing herself, all of her energy is convincing herself that she is dry.
So a star for characterization?
I would, for Danny alone. While I love the other characters, I love the arc that Danny goes on. And I'd give it a star for Danny alone.
Fair. So a 4-star movie.
4-star.
4-star movie. This was Midsommar. This was Midsommar 2019. And that was our review of it.
I definitely suggest that. I'm surprised we made it to an hour. I definitely suggested you all go watch this movie, but fair warning, it is
visceral.
And that's really kind of the signature of Ari Aster. Looking into any of his other work, because Hereditary is just as deep. I think it handles a different degree and manifestation of guilt and grief, but it is also very emotionally heavy. So watch it with a friend or have your favorite cartoon on standby. Rockadoodle, great movie.
Rockadoodle as your palate cleanser. Absolutely.
I mean, why not? It's a. I remember the first time I watched The Strangers. I didn't want to watch. Not the first time I watched The Strangers, but the first time I watched The Strangers at home. I saw it in theaters, and I told myself I would never watch that movie again in my own house because I didn't want to have that fear in my house, right? And then look at my house as if it's equally as vulnerable as the cabin in The Strangers.
Right.
But the first time I did, the only way I was able to sleep that night without fearing that they're coming was to watch 10 Things I Hate About You.
I totally understand that. Totally get it.
And you know what? You know what? Maybe we should do an episode on palate cleansers. And what makes a good palate cleanser? If you don't want to have a palate cleanser with your movie, maybe you could just check out the episode we did with Nicole Poor Thomas about the movies that you watch
for scaredy cats. Yeah.
So just go watch those movies. Just go watch Nicole's episode and you'll be fine. You won't need a palate cleanser. We did the Frighteners after that. You won't need a palate cleanser for the Frighteners.
You won't need a palate cleanser after the
Matter of fact, the Frighteners might be your palate cleanser. As a matter of fact, while we're talking about it, maybe that's your palate cleanser for watching Midsommar. Go watch the Frighteners. Go watch the Frighteners. That's fine. Sako, you good?
Yes.
Sako might need a palate cleanser from this review. It's a deep movie, y'all. Like
it's a deep movie.
We're laughing and joking about it because that's how That's how we deal with trauma. But
you gotta, yeah.
But realistically, like this is an emotionally deep movie. So if you are sensitive to some things, what's that one website? Did the dog die or what's the name of that one? There is a website that is basically trigger warning.
DoesTheDogDie.com. Yeah.
So it's just look that up. And I've not actually been on that website before, but from everyone I've talked to, it's basically the website that teaches you about trigger warnings in movies. So you can know if you can handle it. So yeah, DoesTheDogDie.com. Go check it out. If we're wrong about that, just Google it. I mean, the Google machine is there. Don't trust the AI answer. Just keep scrolling past that. Read some stuff. It's fine. But yeah, otherwise, go watch Rockadoodle. And it's a great movie. It's a good palate cleanser. And we're going to go ahead and log off of this so that we can probably